It is Friday. Welcome to the Saints and Alumni Show here on 88.3 The Saint. I'm your host, Joe Framusa from the class of 2012. Today we have a very special guest, Jason Rich from the class of 1998. Jason is the Vice President of Strategy, Communications, and Outreach here at Siena College. He's also the Chief of Staff. Jason has seen it all. A lot of memorable experiences for him. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about the direction that the college is going and how the school kind of handled the COVID pandemic in the midst of, adversity for our students. All that and more with Jason Rich coming up on 88.3 The Saint. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Saints and Alumni Show here on WVCR 88.3 The Saint. I'm your host, Joe Framusa from the class of 2012. I'm here with Jason Rich from the class of 1998. He's the Vice President for Strategy, Communications, and Outreach and Chief of Staff here at Siena College. Jason, thanks for being here today.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Joe. Looking forward to it.
You've got a busy schedule, so thanks for taking some time out to talk to us. You and I go way back. We first met when I was a freshman. You helped supervise my work-study job, and that's how we got to know each other. But your history with Siena goes back even farther than that. We'll touch on that in a little bit. The first question I pretty much ask anyone that comes onto this show is, take us back to when you're a high school senior, right? You're trying to look at schools. You're trying to figure out, where you want to spend the next 4 years. In this case, take us back to the mid-'90s. And what drew you to Siena College?
Actually, the mid-'90s. Wow, it's a long time ago now.
Great time, though.
Yeah. So I'd like to say my parents dropped me off in the fall of 1994 at Siena, and I never left. But, right, there was a little bit of a story before that, and I did the college tour search like so many students do. We went down south. We went to schools like the University of Virginia, Duke, North Carolina, smaller schools in Virginia and Pennsylvania, in New York. And I thought initially I wanted to go further away. It's a story you hear a lot here at Siena. What brought me to Siena, there were interestingly several signs along the way. It was the first school that sent me anything, so that got on my radar. I was on vacation once up in Algonquin, Maine, my junior year, and we bumped into a gentleman with the license plate 1941, Mr. Siena.
Wow, okay.
And he was a member of the first class of Siena and talked to me about it. So it was always on my radar. We stopped here on the way back from a trip to Marist on a nice summer day, and it was the type of place where you felt comfortable and at home right away. But still, a lot of the same decisions that I think are driving students now to make college decisions were important to me. Value, return on investment, what was my experience going to be like, and affordability, frankly. So it came down to those factors. It's a decision that obviously shaped the rest of my life, and one that I really am glad that I made.
So we talk about you get dropped off in 94 and you never leave, right? So you've experienced so much that shaped this school and so many memorable moments for so many students. I mean, in my 4 years, I have so many memories, but you have, 20 plus years of memories. What would you say off the top of your head are some of your most memorable experiences in the various capacities you've spent here?
Yeah, it could be kind of overwhelming to think back and pick just a few. But, one of the best decisions I made when I arrived here was I needed a job. So I went down to the athletic department and I found Coach Rossi, who has been here longer than me, longer than almost anyone on this campus since 1970, since before I was born. So our luminary, iconic baseball coach, and I had played baseball in high school but knew I really wasn't going to be able to play in college. So he offered me a job as a student manager for the team, and that was really a transformational moment for me. I traveled with the team throughout my time here. I mean, those duties as a work-study student included everything from doing the laundry to what eventually became keeping the score of the games, being the PA announcer at the games, and creating their first media guide in 1998 when I did that as part of an internship. And that opened my eyes to the possibility of a career in sports. Unfortunately, a position opened up here in the athletic department shortly after I graduated. I worked for a minor league baseball team in the area, the Albany County Diamond Dogs, a year after I graduated that summer. and then started in August of '98 in athletics in a job that had more titles than I do now: marketing,
Yep.
ticketing assistant, sports information. So I was doing everything from covering events during the day to dropping off Ticketmaster envelopes at the bank at night with our, you know, ticket funding that we received during the each day. And that again, that experience in athletics had so many amazing moments to it. Just the people who I got to work with, from the different coaches to the student athletes to our student workers to yourself. Everyone will remember, of course, the runs we had with Fran McCaffrey
Yep.
in the late 2000s. I had a front row seat for all of that. So
Yep.
I was center court in Dayton, Ohio, when Ronald Moore made those
Yep.
amazing shots, his heroics, when we beat Vanderbilt the year before. And it really, was an amazing experience, an amazing job to travel the country, the world, really. We went to Mexico on a trip. We went to Italy on a foreign trip. We went from Montana to Iowa to Las Vegas to Miami. Having that job at that point in my life was really, again, an amazing experience. But I was learning skills at the same time that I think helped shape my career path. So in February of 2016, an opportunity arose here at Siena to take over as the Director of Marketing and Communications for the school, a position I'd grown into in athletics as Associate Athletic Director overseeing marketing and communications. So I was really excited to do that and be able to kind of shape a team that would talk about the college in a lot of the ways that we had talked about our athletic programs, really scream it from the rooftops, find new ways to reach our audience, find new audiences, use new delivery methods that were emerging, and really had the opportunity to build up just an amazing, I think, marketing and communications team that's helped, again, share that Siena story in new and exciting ways. And part of that is now I'm covering all of the dynamic activity on campus. And that included, again, a Franciscan pilgrimage with Father Mark's class in 2020, just before the pandemic hit. We got to go back to Assisi and Rome and Siena and really share that experience from the vantage point of our students. So many amazing stories along the way, and to be able to be the person who tells those stories has been something I'll cherish for my whole life. That President Gibson came on in July of 2020 officially, although he really got underway much before that in the winter due to the pandemic environment we were operating in. And, he was, I think, looking for someone who had good institutional knowledge, a communicator, someone who could kind of see across the organization. So, in a way was fortunate that we were in such a, responsive mode, and fortunate to have people who vouched for me and thought that I would be good to step into this position. And we've just had a great experience working together and really helping take Siena to the next level.
You have seen it all. I mean, we mentioned a little bit before. I mean, a lot of the big events, big experiences that students say they had, whether on campus or, memorable sports experiences. I mean, you've seen it. You've seen so much. And you talked a little bit about, learning those skills that, would take you, you can apply to the workforce. I mean, I feel the same way. Like when I was, working women's basketball games, but still like being able to run a broadcast, making sure it's streaming, coordinating with Mike Demos on that stuff as well. I mean, that helped me as well. So like it's I hear that story a lot, and it's great to share, those stories with others, because, we all come back here. I mean, you never left, but I came back here for those reasons. A lot of the skills and a lot of what I did, when I was in TV, came from my experience here.
Well, yeah, and I think, Joe, it starts as an undergraduate. Siena really prepares you to succeed in a lot of different ways, and prepares you with those skills that maybe used to be called soft skills, but now we're realizing they're more power skills, right? Communication, the ability to engage with people, problem solving, critical thinking. All those really came in play in so many different ways in my life. And you're right, working in athletics, yeah, the hours are crazy, but just the diversity of roles that
Yeah.
we're always doing something different, being prepared for that, and seeing leadership on a lot of different levels, working with so many different coaches and leaders and seeing how they approach things really helps, I think, shape a career path.
And obviously, like we've been saying, that applies to a lot of students who come here, and that's a major draw. I mean, word spreads. You're a graduate of Siena. Let's say you go out into the world, you tell everyone how great this place is, and people are like, well, why do you love Siena so much? You don't stop talking about them. Now you went back there and worked for them. You're a little nuts. I'm like, no, not really. But we talk about the draw of skills like that you can get here at Siena. I mean, we just welcomed our biggest freshman class ever.
We did.
Still in the middle of a pandemic. Outside of what we just talked about, what else do you think is part of that draw to bring students here? Why are students coming to Siena?
Yeah, third straight year, in fact, Joe, of record enrollment
That's right.
at the college. And I think people are really starting to take notice of what's happening here. There's an energy and excitement that's palpable if you're on campus, and we've seen demand in the college surge. So why? That's the question, right? Well, first, we've been responsive to the market. We've added a lot of new programs and majors that Siena didn't have in the past that we knew students wanted that really point the path from college to career. We now have 30% of our students enrolled in programs that we didn't have 5 years ago. Programs like communications.
Yeah.
I think you and I might have been interested in. A business major that's really focused on diversity of thought. So you have two different concentrations you can pick from sports marketing to international finance, food marketing, really creative. But then the caring sciences as well. We've added nursing, health studies. These are programs that we know there's a market need for. We know there's alignment with our mission, certainly, and we know students are interested in that. Families also want to see return on investment. We talked about that, right? Third straight year, not only of record enrollment, third straight year, Siena's been the #1 college in New York State for job placement.
That's right.
That's what families are looking for, right? So 10 years out of college, this is data pulled from the New York, from the Department of Education. We're the college that's best at job placement. I think you want to also have that college experience and do it in a setting where you know you're going to have an unbelievable experience. So we were named one of America's 50 most beautiful campuses by Condé Nast. So students want to come and study here. And we've taken that Franciscan education that really dates back more than 800 years, but I think it's more relevant today than ever. We're building leaders who want to create a more just and humane world, and that really resonates with this generation of students. They want to make a difference. They care about the environment. They care about the world. Yeah, they want to have a successful life, but they want to have a meaningful life too, and we're able to provide that experience through dynamic interactions with faculty, with administrators, with staff, that one-on-one relationships that really, I think, define a college experience. And it's provided not only in the classroom, but outside as well through these hands-on experiences like internships, study abroad, research opportunities. And people are seeing Siena and they're saying, you know what, this is a place that's really sending graduates in the world to make a difference. And that's why we're excited. I think that's why we're seeing this demand surge.
Constantly moving forward, constant, making ourselves better in a way. It's really, the essence of what this school is. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. We have to take a quick break. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we come back again. You're listening to the Saints and Alumni Show here on 88.3 The Saint. We will be right back. Welcome back to the Saints and Alumni Show here on 88.3 The Saint, also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and wherever you can find your podcasts. We are there. Take a listen. Give us a subscribe. You can listen to all the past episodes from the past few months on there. We've been talking with Jason Rich, class of 98. He's the Vice President for Strategy, Communications, and Outreach, also the Chief of Staff here at Siena College. You've seen it all. We've said this. And the past year and a half, couple years has really, turned everything upside down. And that, is a major experience in itself. You're essentially in the front lines when it comes to monitoring how the pandemic is affecting the campus. So take us back to spring and summer 2020. I mean, the campus has to shut down, students go home, but summer rolls around, and you have to bring these students back safely. What's going through your head, the administration's head, heads and the discussions of what you're having with college leadership to bring those students back.
Yeah, so you're right. I mean, say you've seen everything, but I don't think any of us could have predicted or expected what's happened
Yeah.
over the last year and a half. Start quickly with the spring. I was heading into spring break that really the COVID pandemic became a reality. First overseas, we had students who were studying abroad in some of the hot spots that we had to work to get home.
Yeah.
And then it was actually the week our students were on spring break that it became clear this was a problem in the United States, and we didn't bring students back from spring break that year. We transitioned to emergency remote instruction to finish that semester, so students from their homes were logging on and taking classes, which almost everyone can relate to now. That was such a foreign thought at the time that our faculty were able to spring to action within that week to get their curriculum and classes.
Especially for this campus.
Yeah. Especially.
Yes.
And you're right. I mean, there were silver linings that have come from the pandemic, and one of those was, the ability to take a Siena education online and deliver it in a variety of ways. At the same time, we know the in-person experience is essential to who we are. So we started looking at the 2020-2021 academic year. We knew we wanted to deliver that Siena experience in person, whatever that meant, whatever protocols we'd have to put in place. And there were many. We had to set up the classrooms with 6-foot distancing. We, of course, had to do the masks, surveillance testing. Because of the way our campus is, if you've been here, and I know a lot of alumni listen, it's not set up for big classrooms or big spaces. We had tents that we put out in the academic quad to have classes outdoors when we could, and we heated them in the winter. We had to use non-traditional spaces like the MAC, the great room here in the Student Union. Whatever it took. At the same time, we knew we had students who weren't going to be comfortable coming back and living on campus in the light of COVID, so we said yes to them too. We offered 600 of our 3,200 students fully remote. So we were doing the curriculum in dual delivery, those who were able to join us in the classroom, and then those who weren't were watching online and participating as well. And that meant retrofitting our classroom with the latest technology, video and audio, to be able to do that. We had hybrid as well, where students that or classes that might have had too many students on one day, they'd meet in person, on one day remote. So we did what we could. We're proud to say we're one of the few colleges that really kept our doors open the entire time without a pause, in-person instruction. We had our brushes with COVID. We were on the defense like everyone else for sure in the fall. And then when the vaccine came, we really pooled our resources. We worked with our community partners to get the vaccine in our community as soon as we could. And we saw that impact happen almost immediately. By April, we went from having, 100 cases over the first month and a half of the spring semester to only 3 for the remainder of the spring semester. And that was directly a result of getting 60% of our community at the time vaccinated. It allowed us to finish with classes. Those who were here could take their masks off outside if they were vaccinated or in the classroom, and we were able to deliver a commencement, which again, a lot of colleges weren't for our class of 2021. As we move forward to this year, goal was we knew we wanted to deliver the Siena experience in full force. All that in-person dynamic in the classroom and student life experience that we had before the pandemic, that meant we needed a vaccinated community. So we pushed, and we got pushback from some as well. And we put the mandate in for our students, for our employees, and we're proud to say we have probably one of the most vaccinated communities in America. We have 99.4% of our student body vaccinated. And if you go to our website right now or social media, you'll see what the Siena experience looks like. And it looks like that as a result of what we did over the summer, the work to be able to deliver that. Now, we know we'll have our breakthrough cases. What we've seen, the symptoms with those have been mild, so you're far less likely to get infected, and then the symptoms, you're far less likely to have a serious health outcome. And we continue to monitor that with daily op center calls where we're looking at what's going on. But so far, it's been a much different experience, and we're excited with what the future has.
And you talk about that Siena experience. It's the experience I had, the experience you had, the experience, so many of our alums have had. The students deserve that, and that's the reason why they come here. That community based instruction, the smaller classes, everything we talked about, and that push to make sure that they have that even in the middle of a pandemic. I've spoken to so many alums over the course of the past couple years, and they've had nothing but high marks for what we've done. I mean, you see other institutions across the country who have had struggles, and we've managed to have a student body that cares for one another, embracing the vaccine, keeping each other safe, and then in turn, the result of that, you have this true Sienna experience once
Well,
this fall comes along.
you're right, Joe, and that's the key to us. Health and safety is paramount for sure, but there's other priorities as well. The mental health of our
Yeah,
students, the student experience, and we know that was impacted last year because of the protocols that we had to put in place. As a vaccinated community, we're able to take some steps and move beyond that, and that's what you're seeing right now. You know, again, the difference has been dramatic, and we're really excited about what the future holds.
We'll shift gears a little bit. We mentioned in the beginning, you're a busy man, and the next 4 to 5 years will be a very busy time for you, for nearly, literally all of us here on campus. The college is ready to embark on a new strategic plan. Um, it's so intensive. When I was a student, I helped kick off, you know, I believe it was Living Our Tradition back in 2011. And just from a student standpoint, I saw how intensive and how in depth, this was and for the next 5 years. And I was just a student. Now I'm an employee and administrator here, and it's so different, the perspective. It's going to be a lot of work, but it's going to take, a lot of hands to do this. We'll get it done. I think it's great the direction we're going in, and we talk about that direction. Um, what exactly? We'll backtrack a little bit. What exactly is a strategic plan, and what really is the school looking to do over the next 5 years with this?
Sure. So the strategic planning is a really essential part, I think, to any organization's future. And what you do is you really look at your mission, you look at your vision for the future, you try to find alignment, you bring in the external challenges that there are, and you chart a path forward for what the organization's going to look like 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, always keeping in mind sustainability and how we build a thriving future for Siena. The last strategic plan of the college, Tradition Transformed 2017 to 2022, was unlike any plan I think the college has done before. We made significant investments, as we talked about before, in new programming and in marketing the college and the student experience. Lessons that we learned that will certainly carry forward. We know we're heading into a challenging market.
Yeah.
The birth rates are declining in our primary markets for sure throughout the Northeast. So we have these demographic headwinds. We have challenges across the industry of higher ed, where some are even questioning the value of a college degree. How do we make sure our message is getting across? We know there'll be winners and losers. We want Siena to win, and Siena will win. So we're operating from a position of strength with this demand that we've seen the last 3 years, but our eyes are wide open as we look to build Siena into what we're calling a high-demand college, where we have optimized enrollment, we have strong financial footing, and control our own destiny. How do we do that? Well, we'll continue to expand the academic program, for sure. There's opportunity we see in the caring sciences and the sciences overall to really be the leader in the higher education space in our market. So when you see healthcare, how do we expand more into the graduate space in the caring sciences, in nursing? Also continuing to add in-demand undergraduate programs as well. Student experience is going to continue to be a pillar in this next plan, delivering on our promise to our students across the organization. Mentorship is a piece that we know Siena can really stand out and make a difference. We want to expand our reach into new markets as well, our awareness. And this can be done with our core product, our academics, but also leveraging things like athletics, our research institute, to get the Siena name out there into new markets. We know we have to continue to diversify our student population as well when we look at the demographic challenges. We just welcomed in the most students of color ever in Siena history as part of this biggest class ever. We've seen great growth and diversity. We have a lot of work to do with that as well. So when all said and done, as we look at our vision, we want to be nationally recognized for the extraordinary experiences that really define Sienna's education for a lifetime. That's the foundation of the strategic plan. We're a few months into it. It's a community process.
Yeah.
It starts with kind of that vision from the top level. We work with the board of trustees, with the leadership of the college. And we've had community sessions already as well, where we gathered input. We're going through the fall here, listening to all our different stakeholders, alumni. If you'd like to be a part of the process, we'd welcome you to come in as well, because we think this is a really special moment. This is our moment, in fact, for Sienna, and it's a chance to put the college on the map and take a next step.
And it's essentially the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more that goes into it. Obviously, not enough to fit into the time that we have here, because we have run out of time. But yeah, it's I'm looking forward to the next 5 years. I'm looking forward to being here the next 5 years and seeing the college transform, because it's obviously changed so much in the 10 years since I've graduated. And obviously since my time, before that as a student. I'm real excited to see what's ahead, and it's we obviously have the right leadership to get there, and coming from a different perspective, I think our alumni can be excited as well to see what is to come.
Well, thanks, Joe. Thanks so much, and go Saints.
Go Saints. Yes. Thank you again for coming on. Again, I know you're a busy guy, so thanks for taking some time out. That's it for this Friday's episode of the Alumni and Friends show. I am Joe Formusa from the class of 2012. My guest today was Jason Rich from the class of 1998. We'll be right back here on 88.3 The Saint.